Hey everyone, this is Mr. Zach and welcome to our online children's ministry program at Chinese Christian Union Church. As we continue our series of This or That, where we learn how God built His church by helping ordinary people make extraordinary decisions. Our big idea for today is that God's power is strong when I am weak, or when you are weak. And again, for this series of This or That, it's again pretty simple. Throughout the Bible story, I'm going to ask you guys what's going to happen next, and I'll give you guys some time to whether to guess this or that, and then I'll give you the answer of what happened next. Okay, so let's get into it. So before we jump into our Bible story today, let's do a warm-up round of This or That, but Bad Day edition. Okay, I'm going to give you guys choices between two things that would make for a really bad day. Okay, you tell me which one you guys would rather have. Okay, would you rather have this, have big rocks thrown at you, or would you rather have that, be chased by dangerous robbers? Would you have this, big rocks thrown at you, or that, chased by dangerous robbers? These both sound pretty bad. Maybe chased by dangerous robbers for me, because I can run a little bit faster, I think. Hopefully, maybe, who knows. Whatever, they're both bad. Next one. Would you rather have this? Would you rather have this, go days without food, water, and sleep? Or that, stand in the cold with no clothes? Okay, so let's see. They both sound pretty bad and pretty painful, but maybe stay in the cold with no clothes because you can exercise and that might keep you warm. That's what I would do, but they both sound pretty bad. I'm not sure what you guys think. Okay, two more. Would you rather do this, be put in jail for 6 years, or that, be hit and whipped for 195 times? This or that? I think for me, I would probably be whipped and hit for 195 times, even though that would hurt a lot. I don't think I could be in jail for 6 years. That's a long time. Okay, well, I'm not sure about you guys, but let's move on. Would you rather have this, be bitten by a venomous snake, or that, be shipwrecked on an island? Which one would you rather, this or that? I would probably do shipwrecked on an island, actually. I think that would be kind of cool, but still probably they're both pretty bad. Being bit by a venomous snake is pretty bad as well. Okay, so hopefully you guys all picked the better one. I'm not sure if there was a better one. They're all pretty bad ones. Okay, so let's talk about that. Can you guys imagine going through any of those things? How about this? Can you imagine going through all of those things? Believe it or not, the guy in our story for today went through all of those things and even more, actually. And he did it all for Jesus. In today's True Bible Story, we're going to hear about one of his worst days ever. So let's get into our story for today of This or That. Okay? So let's begin. Paul and his friends continued traveling all over the world, telling people about Jesus. And because of that, God's church grew bigger and bigger. And that's great news, right? It is. But not everyone was happy about it, actually. Many of the Jewish leaders didn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God, and they wanted to do everything possible to stop the church from growing. So, what do you guys think had happened next? This, the Jewish leaders warned Paul not to talk about Jesus, or that, the Jewish leaders had Paul arrested? What do you guys think? This or that? And I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The Jewish leaders had Paul arrested. They accused him of being a troublemaker and demanded that Paul be put to death. Kind of like Jesus, actually. Though it wasn't true. Paul hadn't done anything wrong and he wanted to prove it. So Paul demanded his right to be put on trial in front of Caesar, the Roman emperor. There was just one problem. Caesar was a long way away in the city of Rome. So what do you guys think happened next? This, Paul was put on a ship and sailed to Rome, or that, Paul was chained to a chariot and forced to walk to Rome? What do you guys think happened next? This or that? I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Well, Paul was put on a ship with some other prisoners and sailed to Rome. As the ship was sailing, a huge storm blew in. Its winds were strong as a hurricane. Day after day, waves after waves crashed into the boat and began tearing it apart. The sailors had never seen a storm like this, so Paul could tell that they were scared to death. So he stood in front of them and said something. And what do you think he said? This: we must run the ship onto the beach of some island. Or that: we must turn the ship around and sail for home. What do you guys think? This or that? And I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Well, in Acts chapter 27, Paul says, I belong to God and serve him. Last night his angel stood beside me. The angel said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must go on trial in front of Caesar. God has shown his grace by sparing the lives of all those sailing with you. Men, continue to be brave. I have faith in God. It will happen just as he told me. But we must run the ship onto the beach of some island. The sailors had a different idea, though. They wanted to get off the ship as fast as possible before it broke up and sank. So they pretended like they were going to lower their anchors, but instead they quietly lowered the lifeboats into the water so they could sneak into the sea and row for shore. But Paul saw what they were doing and told the soldiers about it. So what do you guys think happened next? This: the soldiers killed the sailors for trying to leave the ship. Or that: the soldiers cut the lifeboats loose and let it float away empty. What do you guys think happened? This or that? And I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. If the sails were all gone, the ship would have surely sunk and everyone on it would have died. So the soldiers cut the lifeboats loose and let it float away empty. When the morning came, they saw an island with a sandy beach. So they decided to do what Paul had said and run the ship onto the beach. But before they could get there, the ship hit the sandy bottom of the sea and got stuck. Huge waves pounded the back of the ship and broke it into pieces. So, what do you guys think happened next? This: the soldiers planned to kill Paul and the other prisoners. Or that: the soldiers abandoned the ship and left the prisoners to die. What do you guys think happened next? This or that? I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Well, the soldiers planned to kill Paul and the other prisoners to keep them from swimming away and escaping, but the commander had become a friend to Paul and wanted to save his life, so he stopped the soldiers from carrying out their plan. The commander ordered everyone who could swim to jump into the water first and to swim to land. Then he told everyone who couldn't swim to jump in and grab a hold of the broken pieces of the ship. And so that's how everyone reached the island safely, just like God had promised. Not a single person on the ship has died. This was just one of Paul's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days. In the Bible, in the book of 2 Corinthians, Paul gives a long list of the bad things that happened to him. Take a look at what Paul went through. Paul spent 6 years in prison. He was hit with a whip 195 times. He was beaten with rods and struck with stones. He was shipwrecked. He was bitten by a venomous snake. He was in danger from rivers and robbers. He went days without food, water, and sleep. And he left in the cold with no clothes. And he went through all of it so people could hear about the good news of Jesus. Well, how do you think Paul felt after going through all of these things? In the Bible, Paul says that he felt weak. Do you guys think being weak is a good thing? You probably might not think so. But Paul's saying being weak is a good thing. He explains in our Bible verse for today, which is from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. He says this: But he said to me, my grace is all you need. My power is strongest when you are weak. So I am very happy to brag about how weak I am. Then Christ's power can rest on me. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. Paul says that when we are weak, God's power can work through us. So let me show you what I'm talking about, okay? take a look at this glove, okay? And I can't show you fully what this demonstrates, but if I were to put this in water and put this in the freezer, what do you think would happen to this glove? It would be rock hard, it would be really stiff, and it would be, probably really impossible to fit my hand in because it would be frozen solid, It's strong, like it's hard, it would be hard, because it's frozen, it would be strong, but, is it really good for anything? No, because it's frozen, I can't even put the glove on because it's, you put on it on your hand because it would be cold out, but it's already cold and it's really hard. So a frozen glove would be kind of useless. But since this is a regular glove, it's soft, it's flabby, it's weak and everything, but and it's flexible. But I'm able to put my hand into this, and it's easy to get my hand into this glove as well. And I'm still able to be flexible in it. I can do a lot of things with it. I can do anything that my regular hand can do, really. So this weak glove that is not frozen and more flexible is much more useful than that really strong glove, which could be frozen and hard as well. That's what's like with us and God. We're like a glove, and God is like the hand. It's not the glove that does the work, it's the hand. So when you're strong and stiff like, that frozen glove, if I had it, we're not very useful because God can't use us. But when we're weak and flexible like a regular glove, we're able to be used by God and His strength to do big things through us. And that's why Paul rejoiced in his terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. He knew that all those bad days made him weak. And when he was weak, God was strong and did big things through him. Even though Paul spent the rest of his life in prison and was probably killed following Jesus, God used him to build His church and to write about half of the Bible's New Testament. Following Jesus isn't always easy. You can still have a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, but when you do, remember that it's not all bad. Those times of weakness are when you can feel God's hand working in your life. When you are weak, God uses His strength to make you more caring, more courageous, more loving, and more faithful to Jesus. So let this lesson be a reminder to you that God's power is strong when you are weak. Okay? I'll see you guys around.